Hello. So this is my new Hygger LED light that I picked up. For those of you who have done a little bit of research into freshwater LED lighting, generally speaking, Hygger considered to be the budget-friendly option and alternative to the Fluval 3.0 lights. So right now it's actually in the middle of doing its ramp up. I have it set on the internal timer. And so right now it's just gradually waking the tank up. The way it works when you run it on that timer cycle that it has a 15-minute ramp up at the beginning of the cycle. And in my case, I run mine for a 10-hour shift. And then it has a 15-minute on the back end of that 10-hour shift. So 15 minutes start up and then 15 minutes at the end of the cycle. Now, this light is the 30-inch light bar because I have a 20 long and I wanted something that would cover the full length of the tank. So this worked perfectly. I spent less than $50 on this guy. And so, you know, with what you're getting for the amount of money you're spending, they are pretty solid lights and they are pretty highly recommended if you look around out there. That this is considered to be kind of like, you know, from a bang per bucks perspective, this is considered to be one of the best. So, anyway, but yeah, the tank will gradually get brighter here over the course of 15 minutes as it ramps up to its full intensity for the day. And if you take a look over here, this is the internal inline control. Now, this one doesn't have a Wi-Fi controller on it. I mean, you can obviously, you know, you can put it on a Wi-Fi plug or something like that. But honestly, I've had so many issues with the predecessor of this light when I had my current USA light that I was just done with Wi-Fi plugs. Having connectivity issues with the app, was using an older version of Wi-Fi, and I upgraded my router. So it was an absolute pain. So I wanted something that just had a simple internal timer that I didn't have to mess with. And so I went ahead and picked up this Hygger after learning that it had an internal timer. Now, the way it does timing is really interesting. It does it by, you have a couple of options. You can do a timer. You can set a 6-hour cycle, a 10-hour cycle, or a 12-hour cycle. Or, if you look down here, they do have a 24/7 option there, which gives you like an 8-hour peak, a 10-hour peak, a 12-hour peak, or some other options there. Basically, the light will run 24/7, but at varying degrees in intensity, and like maybe at night it'll just run all blues or something like that, just for some dim ambient lighting. Now, personally, I am not a fan of 24/7 lighting, just because of the fact that it has a tendency to, you know, just produce real algae problems when you do that on a regular basis. You know, when you run the lights that long, you're going to probably run into some algae issues, just stuff that you don't want to be dealing with. That, and I just consider it's total dark is good for any tank, freshwater or saltwater, for at least an 8-hour period of time. So, this is an intensity button here, so you can dial it up and down manually. You can also switch to like the different colors of the spectrum there, because if you look here, you know, you can see right there, you've got the full color spectrum, you know, green, red, white, blue, and everything else kind of in between. So it really, you know, it has a lot of options as far as what you can do with the lighting. So the way the timer works is really interesting. The one catch is basically because there's no way to set like an actual time. You can't, on this one, obviously, you can't actually program it to be like 11 a.m. or whatever. So what you have to do is actually set it on the cycle for the time of day that you want it. And then after you do that, then it'll go ahead and it'll run the cycle each day. It's just you have to be available at, say, if you want to start it at 11 a.m. and then have it end at, say, 9 p.m., you just need to set the 10-hour cycle, which you can see here. It's flashing, which means it's running, and it's actively running its cycle right now. And so you would have to set it actually at 11 a.m., and then it'll run from 11 to 9. So you do have to be available to set it initially at the time of day you want it to start, if you want to use the internal timer. And that's true of both the 24/7 cycle and the regular timer cycle. So I have mine set to the 10-hour timer cycle there. And each one that you have on there, like the 6-hour, the 10-hour, and the 12-hour, they have a different color coding there that flashes, so you can tell easier which one you're on if you can't read the small print lettering that's on the controller there, which sometimes can be a little bit tricky to read. So anyways, but yeah, they do have it color coded, so at least you have a better indicator of which one you're on. So in my case, I have it on the 10-hour, so it is flashing green. So it'll only flash when it's during its cycle on the timer side of things, and then once it goes off, it'll just it won't flash anymore. It'll just be a solid green color, or blue or red, depending on which length of cycle you do, like 6-hour, 10-hour, 12-hour. And it has a similar system for the 24/7. I played around with that one a little bit when I first got it. The only downside that I've seen to this, in addition to that, is that unfortunately if the power goes off, you do have to reset it for that first time after the power goes out. So that is a consideration if you're considering using the inline timer here like I'm using, that if the power goes out or whatever, you are going to have to go ahead and reset it at the time you want it to come on again. But the good news is, as long as the power is running continuous, then it will continue to run its cycle on a daily basis, and then you won't have any issues. So anyway, but you know, as you can see now, it's kind of brightened up for the day. I'll go ahead and shut the light off again real quick. And yeah, you can see there it's brightened up quite a bit more, and this should be the full intensity for what it normally runs throughout the course of the day there. And anyways, I traded out my current USA light. Worked, but honestly I just found it not very good for plant growth. It was like kind of okay, but I've just come to the conclusion after dealing with current USA lights for both freshwater and then doing enough of the research on the saltwater end of the things, they're just not really that great for growing things. I mean, yeah, they've got a lot of cool features, but I'm just not convinced that they're really good for growing things. So I definitely recommend looking elsewhere if your goal is plant growth, or on the saltwater sides of things, coral growth. So anyway, that's all I've got, and thanks for watching.